Okay, so we're live on Facebook. Good afternoon, multidimensional living. How are you all? And welcome, Nam Shakti, Reverend Nam Shakti. I'm so happy to have you here. So excited. I'm going to pull up our group so I can see people's comments. I didn't have a chance to do the little event thing. So this is a surprise live, which is fun and great, no problem, to make the event, you know. So hopefully some people will see it and hop on and say hello to us. So if not, catch the replay. So I'm really excited to have the Reverend here. It's like a new title. I'm getting used to using it. I'm like throwing it around a lot, but I really like it.
My husband's doing his thing. He'd be like, "Minister, do you approve of this?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know."
Exactly. So I met you because you reached out to me when you saw Honey's interview on Multidimensional Living, I think, which is so awesome. HighSelf. And so then we just had that sort of recognition with each other of like knowing and remembrance of soul family. And then that was kind of it, like from the first time on. And it's funny because you've been such a catalyst for me. I mean, you're so activating, and being in your presence is very activating for me personally, I'm sure for anyone. And so, you know, when you reached out to me to channel for you, I was very, very nervous, and I didn't know you, and I didn't know why. I was just like, why am I so nervous? Like, oh my gosh, I know I always get a little nervous before I have a session with a new person. I think that's pretty normal. Like, that's like happy nervous, excited nervous, you know, like how's it gonna go? But this was like, oh my gosh, like, am I gonna be able to do this good enough for her? Like, there's this like regal energy, this like goddess energy about you that made me just feel very humbled. And also it was, and I don't know if you know this, but it was the first time that someone was just like, yeah, I just want you to like channel the Arcturians for me, like for a half hour. Like, that's the session. That's what we're doing. And I was like, what? Like, okay.
I was like, no healing, no nothing, just channel.
Yeah, you were like, I don't need a healing. Nope, my chakras are fine. Like, blah, 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 blah. You're like, I just need this information. I need you to bring them forward right now. And I was like, holy moly, okay. And it was such a good, like, challenge for me. It was, like, really what I needed at the time to, like, step forward into my work a little more, because I wasn't doing as much live stuff. Like live sessions and live channels and stuff for people at that time. So thank you.
Well, thank you, because you were such a,
I appreciate it.
God used you such in a big way to help me and guide me, because when I came to you, I was very confused. I was having a lot of experiences with Arcturians constantly while I was meditating, and I grew up as a Christian just like you did. So it was very shocking. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know how to do it. And you know, when I saw Honeybee actually speaking light language, which it was something that I was doing all the time, it just hit me in the core, and I wanted to know why am I doing this, and what am I experiencing? So you were definitely there to guide me into what I needed to know, and you did. You were like, yeah, this is what's happening. It was really
beautiful. And
really
I feel
nice.
so blessed from it. And like I said, you're very activating, because I feel like whenever I'm doing work for you or with you, Stephanie says, tapping on my right shoulder. Whenever another Arcturian friend, I know you're not officially, but you lived there for a long time or something, right? That, you know, I feel like the insights come in so freely, and like the connections to the beings, like the higher frequency beings, come in so smoothly and easily when I'm working with you. So it was like such a cool thing for me to feel that activation from your presence and your energy. So it was really beautiful, and I just feel really honored to have just connected with you, and that you know, chose me to partner with you for the work. You know, I was just like, oh my God, okay. So it's just always a pleasure. So, and the more I get to know you, the more multidimensional I realize you are, and why we connect so easily as well. I mean, I love to hear about your stories growing up, where you grew up and how you grew up and what your path has been to being a light worker. I mean, I'm kind of bored as a light worker, but to where you are today. I would love for you to share that with us, and then maybe we can talk about what you're offering today too after you get us there.
So, I grew up as a Christian evangelist, Pentecostal, which means long skirts, a lot of fear-based, a lot of devil, a lot of darkness. And I think they're doing a lot of good, but a lot of it's focused on so much darkness that one can feel bombarded by so much negativity. So I grew up that way. I was the one who took my grandma to church. I was 5 years old, and I saw a church that was nearby. My family had a lot of chaos, a lot of chaos, a lot of alcoholism and stuff like that. So
lived in LA, is that right? At this time?
Yes, South LA. I was born and raised in South LA. Mm-hmm. Okay. So my family, they were immigrants. They came from El Salvador. My mom did. And we're living in South LA. It's the hood. My uncle is an alcoholic. We live in this house that's, all of us are living there together. And there was no source of God or mention of God. I would say that my grandma would pray, but not really know what she was praying for, just like, God help me and stuff like that. So
thank you, April. Hi, April.
So so what did I do? Oh, so I was 5 years old, and I saw a church down the street, and I told my grandma, please take me to this church. I was like, take me to that place where they're singing. I want to go there. Please take me. Wow. And she didn't want to. She refused constantly. And after 3 months of begging her, she decided to walk with me. She said, I'm going to walk with you, and if it's open, we're going to go in. And it was open, and she was like, the pastor was outside. He was like, come in. And she's like, no, we'll just stay outside. And I was like, please come in. And we went in, and ever since then, we became Christians. So that was the beginning of our path. As I was growing up, I can remember from 5 and on, I had a lot of attacks, dark spirit attacks, where I was sleeping and I can see my body laying in the bed, and I can see like my spirit against the wall, and I can see shadows around me and spirits. And I never really told anyone because the church was so against the darkness that I literally thought something was wrong with me. Like
really,
something
for shame, like you felt shame, like I did this, or I'm bad, that's why this is happening to me, or my sins have brought this to me, or whatever, right? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and
it was terrifying.
It's so terrifying. I was little. I can remember being like 5. I can remember being 6. I can remember being 10. The one experience I can never forget is the experience where I saw my physical, actual spirit, and I saw my body laying in bed, and I saw my spirit against the wall, and I saw this dark shadow that was on top of me, and my spirit wasn't even in my body. Wow. That I was like 11 years old when that happened. So this was consistently happening until I turned to the age of 19, where I got hypnotized, hypnotherapy, and she put into my subconscious mind that I was going to be able to sleep, that I was going to be able to sleep comfortably, and that I was going to be okay. Because I couldn't sleep at night. Like literally I had bags because I couldn't sleep because I was so afraid of the dark. Mm-hmm. Terrified of the dark. Mm-hmm. Terrified. So when I got hypnotized, I just started searching for other things. I was 19 and I found The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, and I read his book like it was my Bible, and I read it. I recommended it to everyone. I remember being 20 years old and going to New York with my girlfriends, and it was supposed to rain, and I'm telling them it's not going to rain, and I'm like, divine spirit, all is well, sunshine is coming, everything is happening good. And I just imagine myself wearing shorts and sandals and walking around the city, and it wouldn't rain. So I was like, wow, like I have this power and this way of manipulating things in a source, but I didn't quite really understand what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then through meditations, I started experiencing a lot of things. I went into teacher training and Kundalini yoga, and this is where I started having those galactic where the Arcturians were coming to me consistently and tapping my third eye. And I was going through different dimensions where everything was purple and light blue. And they would greet me, like I would walk and they would like greet me, happy to see me and like hug me and like, and like so loving, like they miss me. And I mean, it brought me to tears when I would experience this, and I would be like, what am I experiencing? Like, am I going crazy? Like, I literally was thinking that all these experiences were just crazy. And I think this is where I found you, when I was like, what is this? What's happening? And just trying to find myself too. I think it's very important that we find that inner compass to know who we truly are, which is divine, because I struggled with feeling worthy of being God's child, feeling worthy of having an angelic identity and a goddess identity and a galactic identity and all these other identities, which all of us are in that place. We're all divine. God made us in his likeness. So we all hold that divineness within us. It's not just me, or it's not just anyone else. It's all of us. We all have this high vibe where we can tap into.
Yeah. Cool. So when did you end up in Virginia? You probably a couple years ago, right?
I've been here for 6 years in December. And I think Virginia was where I truly found myself, because I hated Virginia when I moved here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hated it. And the first year I got here is when we got the most snow. We had like, I don't know how many foot of snow, like 8 or something, and the streets were shut down and like we couldn't go anywhere. And I'm used to sunny California. I'm used to the winters are like little light jackets and yeah, so it really brought me into a deep transformation of finding myself and finding who I was. I had no choice. It's like Spirit was like, you get it together right now, just like that.
So you're pretty like well known, I feel like, on Instagram. How did you get a platform like that going where you're touching so many people? And if you guys don't follow her, check her out. She's always doing live singing bowl healings and meditations and chanting, and lots of good education as well on her pages. And it's also just pretty. It's a pretty page, it's like, it feels good to be on there. Is it
NamShakti? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's Nam Shakti. I just started posting videos. I started wanting to be a fashion blogger because I love fashion and I love pretty things and I love dresses. And I grew up in LA, so I grew up in the fashion district. I grew up also. I modeled. I did music videos, and I was in a Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift as an extra. I was one of the girls like this in the background.
I didn't see that, but I'm going to watch it now, and you have to tell me where and when.
And towards the end where the cars are coming in, and I forgot his name, Little Bow Wow is standing, and the cars are coming, and I'm just one of the girls next to the cars, and I'm just like this. I had like a brown furry jacket with some orange pants. So anyways,
the kids are gonna go crazy if I tell them that Shakti's in a movie.
Yeah, that's funny.
Because they still talk about you all. So we came over and had a pool party at her house, and we have to still do it again. But
yeah, because my kids keep asking for your son.
The kids are like, when are we going back to Nam Shakti's? Like, they're constantly asking me. So I think that they would go crazy if they thought you were in a movie. So I can't wait to like find that clip and show it to them.
I don't think I have told my son either. And I did music videos too. I did a lot of music videos.
Really? Like hip hop videos?
I did. I was always an extra girl. Like I was just in the background and looking cute or whatever you want to call it. Nothing like popping my booty or anything like that. Nothing like that. Just standing and looking pretty or
booty poppers in the front.
Yeah, no, I wasn't doing all that. I don't know how to pop my booty like that. Sorry.
You did not have twerking on your resume, on your model resume.
No, not that. No. Thank God. I was so lit. I was so young. I mean, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with booty popping. So yeah, so I started with wanting to be a fashion blogger. And then I just shifted, but I always put those really positive messages. Like I look at some of the posts I posted 11 years ago, and it's like Ernest Holmes or like something very like extremely positive. And I'm like, wow, like my high self was already working through me without me actually being so conscious and aware that my high self was the one taking in charge of a lot of things that I did. Yeah.
That's so cool. And you've had some really interesting experiences in seeing yourselves. You talked about this a little bit, and then I'm remembering like a ceremonial experience that you had where you saw yourself as a goddess. And you've had a couple of times where you've seen yourself like in different ways, in different dimensions or lifetimes. And it's really cool learning these things about you because they all kind of like end up coming together to make sense. You know what I mean?
I think it's very confusing at first when we are experiencing these things. And I think that I went through a really struggle, figure out like, who am I? Why is, this goddess telling me that I am her? Like, why am I going through these situations? Like why me? Like why did God chose me? And I just got a Kabbalah reading, and the lady said to me, this was a couple of weeks ago, and she said, you are one of the chosen ones. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, why? But I feel like we all are. Like, God
Right.
chose
Like, why
all of us.
like,
It's
that's
not just me, it's
right.
all of us. And I just feel like some of us may have a different path that we're here to awaken even more than others, but
Yeah.
all of us are leading towards that path of awakening. So we are all divine. And I think that when we can acknowledge and say, yes, I am that, I am that, I am that, everything that God is, I am. We all have been something like that in some past life. Remember, I told you that I did an SRT session to ask like who you were, and it said in your past life that you were a angel, a guardian angel for me in one of my lives. So we all have been there for each other some kind of way.
That's so cool. Yeah, and you told me some other goddess that I was incarnation of this lifetime, but I can't remember, like a Central American one. I can't remember which country, or it might have been.
Because I was meditating. When I meditate, I see a lot of things, and that moment I have to express it. Otherwise, I totally forget. I forget. Yeah, I don't remember much of the things that I say or channel or.
I think that's normal.
Yeah.
I think Teresa says, yes, we are all divine beings. Yeah. I do think sometimes some people talking like that can be a little dangerous, like you are the chosen one. Like we are the chosen light worker. We are the whatever, I think we do have to be careful about that a little bit and not contradicting that oneness, in that language.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about SRT, since you just brought that up. It's a really cool modality that I did with you. That was really helpful.
I do
really
2 SRT now. I do spiritual response therapy and I forgot how to spiritual response therapy and spiritual something. I should look it up.
Yeah, probably. But even the first one is what you do with
which is the client.
Sorry.
Right?
I'm taking the class, so I'm just trying to make sure. Spiritual releasement therapy.
Or just said release, yeah.
Releasement therapy. So I'm doing both now.
Thanks, Tori. Yeah, you're right.
Thanks. I'm Spanglish, so bear with me. So spiritual response therapy is just a shot where you connect to someone's high self and their Akashic records, and their high self is this high self council that everyone has. So we have angels, archangels are working for us to help us, and I will connect with mine and I connect with yours. Let's just say yours, and we will go into your Akashic records to see what is blocking you, and through that we can release a lot of the energy and remove a lot of the energy. We still have to work on it when we're once we're done, we have to do affirmations to reprogram the mind, because we can still, even though we cleanse the program, someone can still go back to the old habits. So it's about reprogram the mindset, reprogramming the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did some clearing in my relationship that I thought was really, really helpful. I felt the shift happen pretty clearly. Like,
yeah,
exactly kind of how you said you're
oh,
like,
absolutely.
maybe like 2 to 3 days, it might be a little meh.
Yeah.
It'll be in the new frequency. And I did feel like that happened. It was really cool. So.
I have a client who is a doctor, and she has a bioenergetic machine where she checks her clients' energetic and their chakras and everything. This machine comes from Germany, and it's very, very accurate. It's very important. So she can check through your nails. She can check through a picture of you, like every organ and everything in your body. So she checked herself, and it said that she was possessed. It said that she had a demonic possession, and all this, and her chakras were like all crazy. And she's like, I need your help. So we did a whole SRT session. In the first 30 minutes, I mean, all I did was clear her from discarnates and clear her from demonic energy. It was so intense. But after our session, she went right there. She checked herself again, her with the machine, and it was all her chakras were clear, aligned, and she had no demonic possession. She's like, I don't know what you did. She's like, but I want to do this every week. I was like, no. So it's intense.
We're not doing that.
Not every week, but it's intense. Like it really does clear. And to me, that was like a reassurance that we have a machine here that's scientifically driven to prove that SRT actually really works deep into our core. It really clears a lot of our issues.
That's really neat. And there's so much that you can, like, it's like this thing is pages and pages that she's checking. So many different things that you were able to check up on and find out about and clear, and like it got very specific. And I thought it
doesn't lie. Yeah, it tells you things exactly as they are. You can ask any question about anything. It would tell you.
It's probably the most advanced, detailed pendulum.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know? It is really exactly cool. That.
Yeah, so I really enjoy getting that. So you do that. That's like one of your main sessions.
No, it's not. It's not one of my main sessions.
Not one of your main sessions. Okay.
No, I just use that as a way to help my clients when they have like a big issue where I see that they're stuck. I'm working a lot with women. Women are the one that search me the most. They come to me. And what I do is just help them with their self-love, self-esteem. And we have, which is our mentoring calls, which are like spiritual counseling. And I am a certified spiritual counselor or therapist, however you want to call it. I'm holistic. So I always give them like some type of meditation where they have to commit for 40 days. And they have a private link for my website and a private video. And then we do these sessions where we meet each week to talk about, the emotional process. And I think it's the most important thing is the releasing the emotions so we can actually live our life more abundantly and more aligned with our highest self, because that's what we're here to do. So it's more like a mentoring program that I am offering more now. And I'm not taking just any clients. I'm very specific. You have to be very committed. You have to say, I really want to change. I really want this. Otherwise, I always say, like, you're wasting my time, and you're wasting your time if you're not willing to meditate, if you're not willing to do the work to change some of those patterns.
Yeah, that's a really good point, right? I mean, you and I have talked about this quite a bit, like people, not having that spiritual discipline, and then not being able to maintain clarity, or not being able to maintain, the kind of channel that you want to have, or the safety.
Yeah, it's important. Right? Yeah.
I'm not picking up things that are not good for you, spiritually. And I feel like people, just like anything, people want like a quick, easy fix or answer, but I don't feel like that's really how it works in what we're doing.
No, we really have to look at our shadow, our ego, our Satan. We really have to look at those part of ourselves. So Satan, really means, you know, the opponent one. It doesn't really mean this red dude in a red suit in Kabbalah. So our shadow, which is our ego, is our Satan. So it's that dark part of us that we need to look at and just acknowledge that that's there, and being able to identify when is Satan. I say because it's kind of like I'm trying to get myself comfortable, because, you know, as we doing this work, we have to be, as a metaphysical practitioner, it's we have to get comfortable with those dark aspects that are not really dark. They're just confused or ignorant. They don't know the truth about who they are. They have lost their way. And this is the same thing about spirits. Once we have a spirit attachment, it's really that they're lost, that they are ignorant of who they are. So we as light workers have to be comfortable being around that, so we can lead them, individuals, into the light, because that's what we're here to do. We're here as light workers to help those dark part of us to release, so we can truly 100% live as the incarnation of the divine on earth, like Joshua did, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, yes, exactly what you said. But I feel like we just get lost in it a little bit. And people get into these places where, you know, they want to be all light, or they want to stay in the, you know, and it's not just spiritual bypassing. I mean, it's more like, it's more like a program, you know, like a program of, I have to fear the darkness, because it's powerful, more powerful than me. I mean, I think that's kind of where, like, that's like under there, and it's not true, you know. So that's where we have to kind of reprogram that element of it.
Because I mean, if you see religion has given so much power to the darkness,
Right.
and it has gave us so much belief system that's encoded in our DNA. So we have to take that out and reprogram our DNA, reprogram our mind, reprogram who we are, so we can truly be in that place of being okay, and knowing that we are the light, that we are taken care of, that God is working through us, as us, for us, and that we are that divine being on earth.
Right. I mean, when you think about it in terms of frequency and vibration, when you look at the different emotions and the different feelings that are related to different frequencies, and you look at things like shame and guilt, right? And these things, and lack, right? I feel like those are kind of like the big three that we get thrown at us, like in the religious programming, is the shame, the guilt, and the lack. Like, you come in as a sinner, you're doing bad things, you have to be redeemed, you're not enough, you don't have enough, you're not okay as you are, and you're always going to keep messing up, you're always going to keep having something to be ashamed of, so you have to constantly, you know, try to redeem yourself, basically, right? Or look for something outside of yourself to fix what's wrong with you. And those are some of the lowest frequency energies out there. I mean, you talk about things like things that put holes in your aura to invite in demonic energy, or to invite in attachments. And it, you know, what some of the biggest things are those energies of shame and guilt and lack.
And
you
they
know,
feed from it. Yeah, the lower energies, the earthbound spirits or demonic, they feed from us being in those places of fear, of shame, anger. You know, the other day I got really upset, really, really upset. I'm a Taurus, so just imagine how upset I got. And I couldn't let go of how mad I was. So I went and I meditated, and I realized that I had an earthbound spirit close to me, wanted to attach itself because I was so angry. And that moment I really let go. I was breathing normal, and I was like, no, like, go into the light. And I imagined myself really letting go and just surrendering to love.
Yeah.
And I felt much better. So I think that we invite these energies to come into our field when we don't allow ourselves to fully be in a place of love. So it's okay for us to get angry, but to the point that if we don't allow anger to really be transmuted into power and loving power, then that's when it gets stuck in the body. And this is when we allow these air bounds and all these other energies to come into our aura field.
Totally agree with you. And so then you look at the meditation and why we always talk about, you and I together talk about how important it is to meditate, to connect to spirit, connect to Father, Mother, God, you know, because I think it goes back to what you're just talking about, which is that we want to stay in that energy of wholeness and that connected energy, right, as much as we can. Even so, then if shadow comes up, we can transmute it, as opposed to being vulnerable because we're not connected, because we haven't filled ourselves up with that light, if you will, for lack of a better way to put it. And so we have that, it's like the meditation sets us into that remembrance of who we are and that connection with who we are and that oneness. And then we set ourselves up for some time to be in that space energetically. And it almost makes you, you know, like a walking conduit, right? Because then you can transmute at the grocery store. You don't have to be like, well, I'm in my little bubble, in my circle, and now I'm in a space where I can do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are the work,
mm-hmm.
right? If you
are
keep
the
yourself
vessel
in that frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to Michael Abramson about this week. He came and gave me a really amazing 2-hour acupuncture massage. Oh, amazingness. And we were talking about that, you know, like just that, you know, you get your I think a lot of us as light workers, one thing that we could aspire to is to get into the place vibrationally or frequency wise, right, where we are activating, we're clearing, we're healing, we're doing whatever, we're transmitting 24/7 just by our presence and our connectedness. We don't have to tell them anything or do anything necessarily when we get to that point. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have been around some people who are like that. I mean, I think that's how I felt working with you and having that activation, right? You weren't healing me. I was doing the work, mm-hmm. but you were activating me in your presence, right? So I think the more that we can have that goal, it's like, it's a very noble goal. It's high integrity. And we can be committed to it. I think it really can make all the magic happen, the success, the abundance, all of it comes with that, you know? And it's just, we're just being asked to connect and receive really mm-hmm. on a regular basis. It's not that much extra that we have to really do. And that's really cool. That's a blessing, you know? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think meditation it's very important if we really want to just have this relationship with God constantly, or if you don't like the word God, the universe, you have to meditate. It has to be this devotion, you know, and you don't necessarily have to sit down for like half an hour, but just even for 5 minutes, just acknowledging that divine presence, your higher self, that connection. That way we don't rely on this outer things to make us happy or anything, but we are that divineness. There's this healer. His name is Joel Goldsmith. No, Joel Goldsmith. Joseph Murphy. No, something Goldsmith. Dr. Joseph okay. Goldsmith. Joseph. I don't know. I'll type it after. But okay. He is a metaphysical healer back in the late 1800s and 1900s, and he was so powerful that they say that even by being in his presence, you will get healed. There was people that came to him with diseases and like almost dying, and he wouldn't even pray for them. They'll just come in his presence and they will,
right? They're just
they'll heal. And he was very if you read his books, they're amazing. Amazing.
You're Googling.
I am. I'm trying to remember his name. I have almost all his books. Joel Goldsmith. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
He's American spiritual author. I think his background is Jewish, but he was mystical. He was very involved. He was, a mystic, 100% a mystic. If you read his books, they changed my life. This was one of the guys that brought me into science of mind brought me into the working with the subconscious mind and just being a healing presence, being a healing practitioner, not just for myself, but just walking like a walking God, because that's what we are. We are a walking God. I mean, we have to acknowledge that God made us in his likeness. So as we walk, it is God that's walking. As we see our neighbors, it's God that's there. As we acknowledge other people, we have to acknowledge that they're God too. And even if they're in their ignorance, even if they're judging us or feeling comfortable.
That's so hard sometimes, right? I mean, I feel like that's probably one of the biggest, seems so simple and we throw it around, but I feel like that's one of the hardest things, you know? And look at someone who's judging you, or look at someone who's in their ignorance, or whatever, however you want to say it, and just be like, you know, that's an aspect of God, you know, it just is. And to honor it, you know, that way, it's work, you know, but it's important.
Yeah. I think it's a way that we can release and truly surrender when we can do that, when we can bring our brothers and sisters up, even when they're thinking the worst of us, and we can bless them and see the highest of themselves. And I think as a spiritual practitioner, this is something that was taught to me, is that, you know, it's bringing that person up, bringing it up and seeing the God in them, and seeing the good in them, even when the darkness is showing up, even when they're talking bad about us. It's bringing them up. Yeah.
And that's mastery work, I think, when you get there. And so that's great. So tell us about your new title is Reverend. Where did you get this title? What was the program like? And are you offering things yet you know, are you marrying people, or, you know, what and why? I already know some of these answers, but, and why did you get this title? What are you going to be bringing forward? Thank you, Amy. She said, thank you both for this conversation. I'm soaking it in. So sweet. Awesome.
So I've been a student of Science of Mind, which is Ernest Institute, for 5 years. And I got my spiritual practitioner, which is spiritual counselor, through them. I had some problems where I had to go ahead and find somewhere else where I can start ministerial school. And I found the University of Metaphysics, which has an ordained program. I would take it. Whoever wants to become a minister, I would take it. It's an amazing program. It's very about opening the mind, everything that has to do with metaphysical. The master, which is a bachelor's program, they have a master's program which talks about yoga and talks about all these wonderful metaphysical things that I was so excited to see when I saw it, because Science of Mind, Ernest Institute, doesn't really talk about yoga like the master's program does. And my background as a yogi, I feel like when you bring the yoga and the metaphysicals, the subconscious mind together, and the changing of the mind with the body, it's when you truly have the experience.
I
and this
agree.
Is why when I do the
teacher too, as you know, so that's probably why I agree. But
yeah,
you can really see it. You know, I would say when I give private yoga sessions, a lot of times I'll like check their energy, their chakras, or whatever going on, their aura, at the end of practice, like while they're in Shavasana. And it's almost always just really clear and beautiful and humming. And what's so cool about the yogic practice is that it's such a self-healing practice. You know, like they can come in and I can tell they're one way, and by the end of their practice, what they've done for themselves is like they've given themselves a chiropractic adjustment, they've given themselves like a spiritual clearing, you know, and then their energy's flowing because they're moving the chakras. And you know, as you're doing that, you're purifying your body and spirit with that physical movement and practice in that way, especially when you go and you understand the sacredness of yoga and the postures and all that stuff. Are you talking to me? Because I can't hear you. Okay.
Sorry, now.
It's okay. For one of the kiddos, no problem. So NamShakti has 3 boys.
I do. I have 3 boys under the age of 7.
Yeah.
I'm busy.
Wild.
So I didn't, you know, I got my ministerial because I always dreamed to be a minister. When I was 5 years old, I would go outside with the Bible and I would start praying and preaching to people. So I knew that my calling was to be a minister. I didn't know how or what or why I wanted to become a minister, but I just knew that it was my calling. I don't know if I would be marrying people anytime soon. But I know that I am starting a temple, an online temple for now, which is called the Divine Temple. And I will start Sunday services and have meditations. And for now, I'm hosting on Fridays, every Friday, a Lakshmi chant, which is a 7 a.m. East Coast time. We had about 13 people showed up last week.
That's awesome. I almost made it, but I was actually throwing up. I'm still experiencing some morning sickness, y'all. That's why, from this action here. And so when I was like, oh, check, because you posted about it, and I messaged you, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. That looks awesome. You're like, join us, and I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. Yeah. I'm like,
well, next time
on my phone.
Tomorrow, if you want to join us,
so maybe next time.
Yeah.
But it looked awesome.
Yeah, it was really nice. I have a girlfriend who lives in Miami who is an amazing singer. So she was leading the chant for us, and it was beautiful. And you don't have to leave your bed. You can be laying in bed and you just put your AirPods or whatever and just listen to the chant, because Lakshmi, we're not calling or praising Lakshmi as a goddess, but more that goddess energy within our own being, in the prosperity, the abundance, all that's already within us. So we're expressing that, and we're giving solitude to that divine energy. So I think one day it will happen, but I'm just, with the homeschooling and everything that's happening right now, I think that my priority is that I take care of my children, because I have so many kids.
Fair enough.
And then in the future, I think that I will definitely start providing more services and more things. But for now, I think that the online temple is going to be happening, the Sunday services, maybe in the next few months. But it's not a for sure thing, because again, with homeschooling and all that, I think that the kids are a priority.
There's a lot going on. Yeah. But that's going to be so exciting. It's going to be such a beautiful space, whether it's energetically or online or in person eventually, I think it will be. So it's really cool. You had your third baby at home, right?
I did. I had a home birth.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm doing this time. So that's exciting. You showed me part of the birth on video, which is amazing. And I've thought of it a couple of times. I try to keep visuals of positive births in my mind at all times, and things that happen that, okay, that would be a way that I would consider. That's a timeline I'll take. Okay. So keep those fresh in my point of view. But and didn't you previously have them in the hospital, the other two?
I had the other two in the hospital, but I had them without medications, and I did everything natural. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I ended up having the second. So I got pregnant unexpectedly the first time. Well, it wasn't unexpectedly, because God knew what needed to happen, but I wasn't prepared. I was very young. And then I had my second in the hospital because I didn't have a good experience with my first. And then my third one, I was very conscious, and that's when I decided that I wanted to have him here in my home, and it was wonderful. Tara Lucier, I think that's her last name. She was my doula, and it was beautiful. It was, I gotta say, one of the most beautiful experiences I ever had in my life.
Wow, well, I'm excited. I'm really enjoying the process so far, having all of the home visits and the personal attention and intimacy with the treatment. I mean, it's just really nice. It's really nice. And I work with a lot of home birth. Everyone, if anyone's interested in a home birth or wants to hear more about it, just reach out to me. I'll point you in the right direction. So they're really wonderful, Heather and Hillary. So, yay. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up, and tell us all where we can reach you. We've talked about it a little bit, but where do we find you, and what kind of stuff you're offering? If you want to offer anything special for us, you can. And just, what do you want to leave people with in this conversation today?
I want to lead everyone with just, going inward and loving every part of you, and just acknowledge that you are divine, that you hold this divine power within you that is so big and so great that all you have to do is tap into it. I do SRT sessions. And like I said, again, I'm a spiritual counselor, so I don't take, I'm not taking any clients right now because I'm full in my books. But if you email me, maybe in the next couple of months, I will be taking more people. It's just, I'm booked for now.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. And stay tuned for her church and follow her on Instagram.
Yes. Stay tuned
And
and the
church.
chanting. I have Women's Circle too. So if you want to join the Women's Circle, I have it every once a month.
Okay.
You can join that.
When is it? Once a month?
The Women's Circles are once a month. And they are through via Zoom. I'm going to start hosting them here at my house. I have a huge backyard. Gia, it's not huge, but it's pretty big that we can have 6 feet apart from each other. So I know how uncomfortable some of us could be. And I'm going to be hosting it also online. So you can either come to my house if you live in Northern Virginia. I have a lot of my students, a lot of my friends live in California who take my class, and in Florida. So that's the reason why I also host it online. So you can join the Women's Circle. The chanting, which is happening on Fridays. Oh, and a book club. I have a book club. We meet twice a month. And I mean, you have to join if you want to. For now, we only have women. So if the men want to join us, join us. And it's very deep conversation. And right now we're reading Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, and it's very, very deep into conversation. So it's been so lovely.
Awesome. So many things. So catch her somewhere, one of these options. There's a lot of amazing stuff, and thank you for being and for your work in the world and for coming and spending this time with us. And if anyone has any questions, type them in the comments on your replay. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Bye, Gia. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.